All right, hello tea family, welcome back. Today I'm kind of excited. We're going to be doing some fun stuff. But first, let us know that you're here and with us by putting in the chat or comments a little hello, as well as what you are drinking tonight. Have you ever wished there was a drink that felt elegant, yet refreshing, special, but maybe without the alcohol? That today is exactly what we are going to be making. So welcome back, tea family. We are going to be making some tea-based mocktails, and I have quite a few ready to go. What I don't have is a lot of garnishes today. We're not going to focus on the garnish. We're going to focus on everything else. But if you think tea mocktails can be boring, I've got another thought for you. They can be really exciting and very delicious, and these will not have a ton of sugar in them, and they are different from other ones that we've mentioned before. So one of the biggest misconceptions about tea is that it's only something you drink from a cup on a cold day, or you only drink it very traditionally. But we're going to be making 6 or more mocktails that are going to be perfect for spring, summer, parties, gatherings, date nights, anytime you want to have something that's a little elevated, but maybe without the alcohol. So I am going to get started. And in fact, I'm even going to need your help with a couple of them so that we can name them. So one of the things I love most about loose leaf tea, other than the fact that it's delicious, is that it has lots of layers of flavor. So some tea blends are more naturally sweet. Some of them are floral, or some are smoky. Some are going to be kind of fruit filled and really remind you of the sweetness of fruit. So instead of kind of masking all those flavors, we want to just kind of layer and build on them. And that's what we're going to be doing with our mocktails. And that's why loose leaf tea is so much better than people expect when you're making them. So first, let's just start with a very classic. This is not one I have made up, but this is a very easy one. A non-alcoholic Arnold Palmer, which is just half lemonade and half tea. So I have this here. This is going to be something different. We'll talk about this in just a second. So you just brew up some regular tea, put it in the fridge. If you're going to want ice, go ahead and make ice cubes with your second and third brew. And then you are just going to let that cool down. And then literally pour equal parts homemade lemonade, ideally, and some loose leaf tea. And there you have it. Really, really simple. So why does this work so well? Because it is simple. People love the lemony taste of it, which lemon does pair well when you're not adding milk products in. It could be sweet, it could be unsweet, anywhere in between. It makes it so you can add a little more lemonade or a little more tea to it, and it's a very traditional. It's very popular as well. I see that Diane is here and she has Starlight Pear tonight. Well, I won't be drinking Starlight Pear tonight because I'm going to be enjoying some mocktails, as long as my handy dandy assistant over there does not steal them from me, but we'll see what happens. Okay. So you'll notice I have tea brewed here. And what I'm going to tell you is there's a huge difference in color, as you can see. But that color is not because one tea is different from another. They're the exact same tea. However, this is a concentrate and this is a second brewing. So why am I doing that? Well, one of the things that I wanted to start off with this evening is something that is very popular in the summer when people start to think tea, and yes, it will be a mocktail, but a London fog latte or a London fog concentrate, so that you can make that brew at any point in time. So all I did here, and we will be using this later, some of this later tonight, is you'll take 4 cups of water, 8 teaspoons of Earl's blend, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to brew that up normally. Now that is super concentrated. That is way more tea than we normally would put, and it's less water that we would normally put. We're trying to make this really strong flavor because it's going to have to add through to other ingredients. And that is really common with mocktails. You want to brew your tea a little stronger, which means not longer. We just brew it with more tea or less water. Okay, Then once this is cooled, as it is right here, you can see how dark that concentrate is. That's when you would add, while it's still, actually, I would go back before you cool it down completely. It's still a little bit warm. I would add vanilla extract. I would add about 4 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And then at that point, you could also add 4 tablespoons of sugar or maple syrup or cane sugar or whatever your sweetener is. And the reason why I typically add when the tea is still warm is because it's going to dissolve. If you're using cane sugar or regular sugar, anything that needs to dissolve, you're going to want to dissolve it in the warmer, hotter temperature. Now, if you wanted you could actually also make it easier on yourself. Make some vanilla simple syrup. So that's going to have equal parts sugar and water and the vanilla extract all created in there. Then you can add it even when it's cold. One of the great things about that is the fact that when you do a simple syrup, like when you have that vanilla simple syrup, you can leave it completely unsweetened. And then those that want to add sugar can, those that want to keep it unsweet can. And if you want it, sometimes I want my tea a hair sweeter. So instead of a measured level teaspoon of cane sugar, I'll put like a rounded. And then there's other times that I want some sweetness to it, but I don't want all the sweetness. So I might do, actually, I don't even use a whole teaspoon, do I? Use a half teaspoon, but like I might, make it level and then make it a scant teaspoon, just a little bit less, because sometimes my taste buds are a little bit different. I want something sweeter and sometimes I want something a little less sweet, especially if I'm going to have a treat. We're going to talk more about these later. But that's one of those things that you can do when you do the simple syrups, because they will automatically come in. Now, if you wanted to make this a lavender London fog concentrate, you would just do all the same things, but that's when I would absolutely do the simple syrup. I would do the lavender vanilla simple syrup. So what's that? Equal parts, in this case, 4 tablespoons water, 4 tablespoons of whatever, if you're using sugar, we'll say. And then you would have 4 teaspoons of vanilla extract. We have our water, we have our vanilla extract, we have our sugar. And then I would do probably, I don't know, like a 1/16 of a teaspoon, like a big pinch of actual lavender. And then you put it in a saucepan, you warm it up slowly. I typically use a little rubber scraper, or I don't know what else you call it, like a rubber scraper to do my stirring. And then you just kind of warm that until all the sugar dissolves and everything is completely mixed in. Then what I would do is drain out the lavender. If you're adding that in, you don't have to add the lavender at all. But then I would put that out, label it, and you have made your simple syrup, put it in the fridge, and you are good to go. Now, when I want to make my concentrate, a lot of people want to have it pre-sweetened, so it's kind of a pour and go. Then you would add in your simple syrup, and you could mix it in at any point in time. So what you could do for a London Fog latte is I could take equal parts of my London Fog, or my Earl's Blend concentrate, my London Fog concentrate, and equal parts milk. Pour it over ice, and you are golden. Or even ice made from the tea concentrate itself, or the tea itself. That is one way to do this. You just have an equal parts. You could dress it up how you want, but that's one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of talk about having some tea concentrate in your fridge. This would go back into the fridge, and it's good for about a week in there. And that's what I wanted to talk about. But equal parts concentrated milk, you've got a quick, easy, either London Fog latte or lavender London Fog latte. What we are going to do, though, is we are going to make a different drink with this. And, well, hello, Miss Kendra. Okay, so we're going to take this London Fog latte made with Earl's Blend. And I did not sweeten mine at all. This is just the concentrate. And you know what I did forget to bring down, honey? I forgot to bring glasses down. Could you bring me another 1 or 2 glasses? Yeah, just the small ones. Okay, we're going to go ahead and use this. All right, so what we're going to kind of make, not those kind of glasses. We're going to make an Earl's Blend old fashioned. So most of the time, old fashions are going to have a whiskey or a bourbon in it, but we are going to get the flavor and depth and smokiness from a different source that might even surprise you. Diane, I am super glad your bumblebees love the lavender plants. They were really aromatic walking in and out, and I love them, but I am very anti-bee right now. For those of you that don't realize, I got stung 8 days ago, and I am still suffering. I think it's because I'm allergic. All right, thank you. Yes, more glasses, because that's what we're going to need. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to take, you would take about 4 ounces. I'm only going to do about 2 because I want to use this for something else. Ounces of your concentrate. And then water. I forgot water. Yep. See, I told you. This is how it is today. It's just one of those days. Okay. We're going to get water in here. Now, the other thing is could use some non-alcoholic orange bitters, but I don't make a lot of alcohol in the house. We just don't have it. So equal parts concentrate and water. So the cheat is if you have some orange extract, that can take the place of your orange bitters. So then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, probably about 4 drops. Not a lot of extract, just a few drops. But anyway, we have orange extract so that we can put in. And then, all right, here is where we're going to dive off and give us kind of that bourbon whiskey feel, kind of some smokiness. And that is just plain molasses. Molasses is great for so many things. The only thing is, it smells so good. Okay. The only thing is, if you don't want, it's better to use a little less and then add some more in. One of the things I like about molasses too, though, is I'm adding about 1/8 of a teaspoon, but we don't need this to be hot for the molasses to really start to mix in. Put our molasses up. And this would be better if I had a whisk, because it would whisk right in. But I'm not going to send him upstairs to go and do that because we don't need to do that. All right, now, here we go. We are going to take a little bit of our ice. This is where having one of those square or round ice cube things for people who have those fancy alcohols. And there you have it. There is an Earl's Blend Old Fashioned. Down. That's good. I'm going to get sweetness from the concentrate, and I had sweetness from the molasses potentially. Now, again, I said mine was unsweetened because I'm going to be adding to other things. I really like this because it doesn't have a lot of sugar to it. It's just a really nice, light, but super nice, old-fashioned, got a great kind of smoky depth of flavor. I anticipate my handy dandy assistant's going to grab it soon. I'm going to put it over here and make it a little harder on him. But that's one of the things that you could make. Now that one doesn't have a super fancy name. And I want you to think about names because the next one that I'm going to talk about, you're going to have to help me name it. And this is going to be kind of what I'm calling it right now is peaches and cream. But that doesn't sound like a mocktail. That sounds like an ice cream or peach cobbler with ice cream. Speaking of which, we need to get that ice cream out of the fridge. We made some ice cream earlier this morning. Okay, So what you're going to do is take Summer's Kiss. Now, Summer's Kiss is freeze-dried peaches, red raspberry leaves, and green tea. And that is one of our summer blends. And you're going to brew that up. And again, we're going to brew it up stronger than we normally would. So you're going to, I typically will add the same amount of tea. I just add a little bit less water, but I would brew about concentrated. You're going to want to end up with about either 6 ounces, I would say, if you're making 1 cup. If you're doing it for 2 people, 12 ounces would work of Summer Kiss in a concentrate style, just kind of like we made this concentrate, a little less water, a little more tea, and you're good. Now, to that, you are going to add about 3/4 of an ounce of sweetened condensed milk and 3/4 of an ounce of evaporated milk. I would also say about an ounce of cinnamon simple syrup. If you never made that, all you have to take is some cinnamon stick and equal parts water and sugar. And as you're heating it, the cinnamon's going to get there, but it's also something that you can find at a lot of grocery stores if you don't want to make it yourself. I would add 2 dashes of orange bitters, but remember, if you don't have orange bitters, you can always use the orange extract. I would do about 4 drops, maybe 6 drops. And then I would add an ounce of peach nectar. That's also going to add some more sweetness to it. And you're going to stir that up. And the reason why I would call it peaches and cream is because you have the sweetened condensed milk and the evaporated milk. And that's going to kind of give you that peach summer flavor, but the tea, the red raspberry leaves, the bitters, they're going to give you other depths of flavor. And then I would serve that in a nice frosted glass and just sip on that. Now, you can make your own sweetened condensed and evaporated milks. You can also get them so that there's no sugar, no fat, so they're sweetened other ways. But that is one of the recipes. So what would you call that recipe? I'm just kind of calling peaches and cream right now. Go ahead and put in the chat or comments what you think we should make that one be called. Okay, a golden peach cloud is a good one. That's a good idea. I know that my girls in Georgia would want like a Georgia peach or a Georgia velvet or something on that idea, but I'd be more likely to call it Kansas something right now. Just I'm happy to be home. So, huh? Kansas peach cloud? I mean, we could, I guess. I don't know, but we'll wait and continue to go ahead and put those in there. I'm really interested in what you think we could name that. And I did not make it here, and that is because we do not have any sweetened condensed milk or evaporated milk in the house.
It's so hot to be back.
It's not. It is super hot, and those are not necessarily ingredients that we keep around a lot. So, but I have tasted that before. I have taste tested it. I did it last year, and it was delicious. I just didn't buy the ingredients right this year. But all right, for our next one, we are going to do something a little bit different. Let's see. Let's talk about a green one, and this is Ancient Green Dragon, as you can see right here. So it's a vanilla jasmine green tea. And what I would say for this one is I would kind of call it like I'd want some kind of dragony name, like a copper dragon or something like that. But here's one of those things where we talk about how you can just add something to one of the tea blends and create a whole new flavor. And that's kind of what we did here is brew up some Ancient Green Dragon. It's a green tea. So 1 minute for the first brew, 2 for the second brew, 3 for the third brew. And then I would, to that, when you're putting it in your infuser or anything, this is just straight orange zest that has been dried. And I would add just like a pinch. Now I happen to have measuring spoons with me because I'm measuring stuff. So let's see how much my pinch is. I would say my pinch is about 1/8 of a teaspoon, maybe a little rounded teaspoon of fresh orange zest. That when I say fresh, it's just something that we have made, and then it's been dried. To that, you're going to get a little bit of orange in there with the vanilla and the jasmine and the green tea, and that right there, brew it up hot, let it cool. Again, use that third brew to make your ice cubes. It would be amazing at the end of the day, completely delicious. I highly encourage you to try that. So that would be another one, and I'm going to be calling that the citrus blossom. I would call that a citrus blossom. Because the orange really brings out the creaminess of the vanilla that is in that ancient green dragon. So that is what I would do. Now, we are going to make another one that needs your help with the name. So everybody be ready. And we are going to start this one ourselves. And what I have here are just some mixed berries. And we are actually going to be making a mixed berry basil tea mocktail. So, all right. I am going to do this way. There's my muddler. And this one makes enough for a couple of people. So I'm going to give you amounts that are more for one person. I knew it wasn't going to take him very long to go ahead and steal that. All right. So if you're making a batch of this, I would muddle about a cup of mixed berries. Now, these berries are going to be very juicy because these were frozen. We do either freeze dry or freeze stuff here, but you're going to muddle it and just kind of, I have a cute little muddler, but you could use whatever. You can even use a fork. Doesn't have to be, some other the times I've used like a spurtle and mushed it around like that. Just be warned that when you're doing that with berries, it could stain the wood. So, okay, now, where did I put, there it is. And then we're going to add in our basil. As you can see, fresh basil. Now it's not all crushed down or anything like that. In fact, I picked this on the basil bushes, I don't know, about an hour ago, maybe less, probably less. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue to muddle that in a little bit more. So we're really getting the berries and the basil mixed together flavor-wise really, really well. And then that muddling, because if you can see, I've got little claws. Let's see if I can put it this way. There's little kind of claws on the end of the silicone muddler because we're going to break it up and we're going to get some of that basil oil in there. And really, it adds an herbal note, but it adds an incredible sweet flavor, green flavor to this. Okay. So I would say you're going to want about a cup of mixed berries. You're going to want a good handful of fresh basil to this. Okay. Now that we've made our mess, as you can see, I have mess all over here. My real mess maker. Y'all know that I have a hard time making anything with this without making a mess. We'll try again today. So I'm going to go ahead and pour. There we go. A muddled mess. We're going to put that there because I have a new glass here and it'll look prettier at the end. Okay. To this, I'm going to add, I'm not going to add this much, but I normally would add about a tablespoon of maple syrup. So I have some organic. This is not the maple syrup I brought back from Massachusetts. And the reason for that is because that's going to be saved to make maple sugar. So, but I have some organic 100% pure maple syrup right there. I'm also going to add, I would add probably 2 tablespoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice. And we can all say thank you to my handy dandy assistant. Please say thank you in the chat or the comments. He went through and squeezed out the juice from probably about 2 dozen lemons for me today. So I have fresh lemon juice for this and other things. Okay. In addition, we would add probably a cup to a cup and a half, depending on how many people, of not super concentrated, but just what I would say a little bit stronger. So instead of a teaspoon per cup of water, maybe like a rounded teaspoon, not very much more of. Now you could use a breakfast blend here. You could use a serene sunrise, but this is going to be some sort of black tea. Morning Irish would be perfect with that Irish breakfast. You could use Earl's blend. It's going to actually add some more citrus notes from the bergamot, so that would also work. And now we are going to just literally, since we've already kind of muddled everything together, as you can tell, my streak continues. Oh my. I swear we just get everything clean from my last mess and it's time for a new one. Okay, so we're going to put some ice. We're going to pour this in. And one of the reasons why I do like to do this in my mixer is so that it keeps a lot of the chunks of basil or anything else out. There we go. Now, I would normally have a nice little garnish with one of my little cocktail sticks, and I would put some berries on it, and then wrapped in some basil and put that on there. But we just didn't get that far today. So I will say cheers. Okay. So you start with that tea flavor, then you're hit with the berries, and then it finishes with the basil. But the basil is I used a sweet basil. It does not compete with the sweetness of the fruit. It complements it. And then that tea is still bringing all that extra depth. Highly recommend this. Even if you're just doing another if you're doing a punch or anything like this, this is my favorite, which is why I saved it for last. Oh my goodness. That is so good. And then because I already had some, my second sip, I have a little bit more of the basil to it, but it's still not overpowering. It's just adding a really great depth of flavor along with the tea and the berries. So there you go. There's another way to do it. Now, I did talk about these right here. And one of my favorite things to have, as I try and clear out all my mess here, let's see what I've got. There we go. Okay. So one of the things that I said is I have these. So these are little tea cakes. They are from Massachusetts, but as soon as we got home, we bought them literally before we went on the plane, same day. And then as soon as we got to Kansas, they went in the refrigerator freezer. So they're just wonderful little tea cakes. One of the things I love about these is the size, because sometimes you just want a little snack. You don't want to eat an entire piece of chocolate cake, or in this case, vanilla cake. Or sometimes it's just summer and you want to not have to bake. And so when you bake the little tea cakes, you bake them and then you make so many, whether you're doing it via cutting or you've got a silicone mold that gets you the perfect little square size. You could make it, freeze it, and then you just pop them out as you want. Now this one is chocolate and this one is vanilla, and I'm going to decide which one works better with this But we definitely, I'm right now, for lack of a better name, I'll call her it berry tea spritz. But go ahead and put in the chat or the comments, what do you think we should call it? Let's see which way it works better, chocolate or vanilla. I'm super excited to try these. As you can tell, this one is not perfectly shaped anymore, and that is because we did put these in our carry-ons to make it home to Kansas. Okay, that is a dark chocolate one. Really good. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay. So I know that there's raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries in this blend. I'm pretty sure that's a dark chocolate. It is not like a milk chocolate or a sweet chocolate. That is a dark chocolate. The pear with the berries is just so good. It really brought out depth of flavor from the berries. Berry bramble. I like it. Berry bramble. That's nice. So, yes, chocolate would definitely work well, but I am a vanilla ice cream kind of gal. I do prefer chocolate cake, but let's go ahead. I'm gonna take another sip. Okay. So now I'm just getting that tea. Wow, the basil and the dark chocolate. Believe it or not, it sounds very strange, but it is an incredible conversation. All right, combination. Let's try this. This is so good. Definitely vanilla. Not super sugary. Their icing is not over the top sugary. Wow, that is like having um that is like having a scone, like a vanilla scone with a berry jam on it. Oh wow, either one. You ready to try, handy dandy assistant? He doesn't want to get up. Okay. Wow. I don't think you could go wrong with either the vanilla cake or the chocolate cake. You could do one of this a strawberry tea cake as well. You get the strawberry in here. I would not go with a carrot cake with this particular mocktail. You know, Diane, I agree. Normally, like it's an incredible. It's like having a vanilla scone with the jam on it. But I will tell you, the flavor against the chocolate was just as good. I mean, you could do what we normally do is we would each get one of the little tea cakes, cut it in half, and he would get half, and I would get half, and then each have the drink, the berry tea spritz drink. The other thing you could do with this, I would say, is if you wanted to bring it up another level, is I would add some sparkling water to it, just to add a little bit more depth with the carbonation and everything. But I and to make it actual spritz. But I highly recommend. In fact, this is. I think this could be. Don't need to do anything. Good thing I already ate supper. Otherwise, this probably would become supper, as opposed to us sharing a dessert afterwards. But you know, that's one of those things. The basil in here is really elevating the mocktail in a way that you just don't normally experience. We did go to a really fancy place the other day, and they had they have all their super fancy drinks and stuff. And what I've noticed is people are bartenders and restaurants are starting to bring in some more herby notes. I'm noticing more rosemary in some of their mocktails and cocktails and different things like that. But I would also urge you to not overlook basil. It is delicious regardless. But really adds enough without being overpowering. I think rosemary would overpower the berries in this one. So that is what I wanted to share today. I guess I'll do one more. I won't make it, but I will talk about one more, and that is a blackberry of Earl, or Earl of Blackberry, I guess, or something like that. But what I would do is I would take out, now we don't have it yet because it's still in development. It will be going out fairly soon, but we have a request from one of my children, and that tells you it's not Bubba McGee. She actually wanted me to create a vanilla Earl's blend. And so we're kind of perfecting the balance between our traditional Earl's blend and adding in the correct amount of vanilla bean to it to really bring out the flavor well. And what you would do is you could very easily make that. What I would do with that one though is I would totally layer it. I would crush some blackberries up fresh and put them in the bottom of a glass like this, or my other glass. Oh, he stole it. Okay. So you have a layer like that. And then on top of that, I would add a vanilla simple syrup. And the reason why I would just kind of pour it over the crushed up blackberries. And then I would finish it off with the tea on top, that vanilla Earl's blend that's been brewed and then cooled. And the reason for that is when you pour that tea in, it is going to kind of bounce off some of the berries and things like that. So it's not going to necessarily, unless you stir it up really well, it's not going to give you the same amount of each of the flavors, which will kind of make it pretty exciting. And then you would have very distinct layers that you could kind of look at. But I would definitely do that, and I would probably layer the berries, the syrup, and then the concentrate, and then a nice big one of those round pieces of ice or one of those square pieces of ice would make it really worthwhile. And then just pop in, if I was going to put fruit on it, I would probably do a couple of blackberries on there, and I was just thinking I might do like an orange wedge or part of an orange wedge on my garnish stick, and then the blackberry down below, just to give it a little bit of color. But yeah, that would also work. So there you go. There's a vanilla Earl blackberry mocktail that you could also do, and just use your concentrate, and it's super easy. So there you go. Any questions or anything that you all would want, any kind of flavors that you would want to see in a mocktail, or questions about a mocktail that you have for me while we're doing this? I wanted to kind of show you things that weren't limited to just one cup. And yes, we're in summer, but also, these are things that you could make year round. You can get basil year round if people you really care about don't kill your basil plants inside during the winter. We won't mention any names at all about who would potentially kill all my basil over the winter. But fruit you can get out of season, although it's always better in season. You can always get fruit out of season, frozen. And that's one of the reasons why I did this berry one with frozen fruit, because I wanted to show you how easy it was just taking the frozen fruit and making the mocktail as well. That way, whether you're hosting friends or you're celebrating something special, or you just want to make something special for yourself at the end of the day because it's been a rough day, you could still do it year round very, very easily. All right, I'm not seeing any questions or anything come up. So, well, I've enjoyed spending time with everybody today. I want to say, feel free, if you come up with other questions later and you think about them, feel free to reach out. And I know that these all had caffeine in them. If you wanted, let me do that one more. I'm going to do one more. See, I told you I was never going to just stop at the 6. Let me do one more. If you wanted to do something caffeine free, then you could easily use ruby chai and brew the top chai. I would do about a half cup of chai concentrate, and then I would do about a quarter cup milk and about a tablespoon of honey, and that will actually like a chai latte type of thing. Another one is you could substitute maiden's blush, which is rooibos and rose petals. Remember, the rose petals add a sweetness, they don't add a floral note. You could do that instead of the black tea in the berry spritz, and that would actually have a really nice flavor. The honey is going to kind of, I would not do any maple, I would do maple syrup too. I would probably cut the maple syrup in half, only because the honey bush is going to have kind of some honey notes in it. So I would probably, instead of doing 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, probably about like half a tablespoon of maple syrup in that berry one. And you could just easily do that maiden's blush. Everything else is going to really, the berries will still pop against that. And then you have your way to make it completely caffeine free. So there you go. There's one more. But thanks for joining me. Excuse me. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next Monday. I don't remember what we're talking about. I'm always trying to remember, and then I'm like, oh, I need to, like, I look it up, and then I forget after I talk to everybody. Oh, I'm gonna leave it a surprise, but it'll be fun and it'll be delicious. But we will be talking about food and tea. That's the only hint I'm going to give you, which doesn't really give you much of a hint at all. But we will see you all next Monday, 7 p.m. Central. I hope you have a wonderful week. Stay cool during the hot summer sun. I think it's 103 or 104 we hit here today. So, all right, everybody stay cool, and we'll see you next week.